Hi everybody, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. I wanted to catch up with you and see how you've been, see what you've been up to. Or wait, I guess I want to show you what I've been up to. So these are all my makes that I at least started in January. Sometimes when you have multiple makes going on, they don't get completed in the same month you started, obviously. So these are just things that I started in January. I'm not going to claim that I finished them in January, but they're finished now. So first thing that I wanted to do was go through a bunch of my bulky weight yarn and kind of clear through it because I didn't have a lot of it. So I wanted just to make up a bunch of hats and get it worked out so that I could clear out some of my stash. So these hats I did using Loops and Threads Charisma. And I used, I had all three of these different colors. So I made some combinations based on what quantity of what colors I had. So I made a gray and white one. And these were patterns that I just found off of Ravelry and Stitches. I made one that's got a blue and white stripe. Our school, Hillsborough School, is blue, this gorgeous royal blue. And so I like to incorporate that when I can. It just so happened that I had this yarn. It wasn't on purpose or anything. So this one I just put a stripe of blue with a stripe of white inside of it. Need to work on the joins a little bit. This is where the colors would change out. And so... and then one that's just gray and blue. And this one actually, I put a little crab reverse single crochet stitch as the, I guess the border in that one. Those are really cute. And then I like this one, gray and white. It's very soft, it's very fuzzy. These are just great little, I don't know what kind of stitches they are. I don't remember them back in January. If they're just little single crochets or if they're like some little mini bean stitch or something. I couldn't quite tell from looking at this because they look a little sideways, but whatever. It's always, you know, it's not always as easy to look back at the work to see what you did than when you're doing it in the first place. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed working on those and I really enjoyed clearing out the stash that I did. So that's all I have left of 5-weight yarn. So that was good. And those are called his and hers, so they really should, you know, be unisex either way. So that's great. And I used an 8mm hook on those. And then I went through some yarn that is my Craft Smart yarn. And, oh, the Charisma, these are, well, that was all scraps, so it doesn't really matter how much of that I had. But this next one, I did 2 hats out of 1 skein of yarn. And this is the Craft Smart, and it's, you know, an economy yarn, but I absolutely love it. The colors are super, super vibrant. As you can see, this is one of my faves. I had some of this and then I used it all and I went back and bought some more like a couple years later. So it's kind of funny because this orange isn't really in the other ones that I was using. So they kind of don't match. Obviously that happens. But I just think that this is a great yarn because again, it's an economy, you know, it's a less expensive yarn, but the yarn itself is always really a good sturdy yarn. Okay, so this has 252 yards in it, and I was able to make 2 hats. And this is one of my favorite patterns. I found it first from a lady a long time ago named Ruby Stedman, and I've seen it recently done by other people, but Ruby is who I found it first, and her video is who I go back to every time when I want to make one. So I made 2 of these out of 1 skein, one with a 4mm hook, a G, and one with a 4.5, that weird number 7. But look at this color combination. Is that not gorgeous? All those greens and blues and purples. So the beauty of this pattern is just the spiral. You can use it in a solid color. You can do it in a variegated like this. And then the bottom here has the front post double crochets to make it look like this ribbing to be the band of the hat in the front here. So this is one of my favorite hat patterns. And what happens is when you've got this cable that runs through here, you're increasing your count stitch here. So in the first, when you first start the round, I think there's 1 double crochet in between the cables, and then you get to a point where you start to add 2 double crochets between the cables, and then 3 double crochets between the cables. So you can see here there's 3 in this round and then a cable. So on the next round down, or wherever it increases, it goes down to 4. See, there's 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So anyway, so this is a gorgeous the hats came out just a little bit different in size because I went up a hook. I can't tell quite which one is which at this point. Well, maybe you can. Just a little bit taller on the 4.5 hook. But anyway, if you can find these, this comes, I get this at Michael's. And like I said, I got the 2 hats out of it. So, and I worked it right down to a nub, so I don't have any scraps left from that. So that was good. Good scrap buster. And then I did kind of the same thing. I was still trying to work out some of my stash. And so I used a sweet roll. This isn't the same color, but it's one that I've got. And these come also in 245 yards. It's a standard 5-ounce that you're going to find in a lot of cakes anyway. And this one came with all these reds and pinks. And I'll show you what happened over there in just a minute. But this one I did, this one was called Lavender Swirl. And so I did this great chevron pattern. This was Fiber Spiders pattern. And again, with the front post double crochets down here to make it look ribbed, because I do not like to crochet the band first and then do back loop only, so that you have that ribbing that you want for the band. So I really like to do the front post double crochets down here to be that instead. But yeah, so when you work with a skein that's gonna, or a cake that's gonna have roaming colors or changing colors like this, you're not really ever gonna get the same thing twice. So here, I'm not sure which is the start of the skein and which one is the back, probably this way. And you know, so you don't get your same color pattern in there. You get them totally different. So these were done both with a 5.5 millimeter, and this was a sweet roll called Blackberry Swirl. And I really enjoy working with cakes like this, so that you have a beautiful color change as you go through. But sometimes it does these bleeds. See, here's like this white. That one's not that big that you can see. Let me get a different one. Like right here, it looks like I spilled bleach on it or something. It's just a natural change in the coloring, and it can make a project look messy or dirty or something, and I'm not a fan of that. So I like when these work out in a beautiful different color arrangement like this, but then once in a while you're going to get one of those color bleeds, and I'm not too happy with that. But the hats are light. Like these are real super solid and dense, and there's not really holes or breathing. It's going to keep you super duper warm. These are a little bit lighter, maybe in a summer evening or late winter, early spring, something like that. They're very light and very drapey. So I liked these very, very much. Okay, and then I worked with a Caron cake. These are called Caron cakes. This one was called Mixed Berry. And I like to keep what I didn't use from another skein all together, so that I know what colorway it was and which yarn it goes with. These are big. I love these. These are 7.1 ounces, 200 grams, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, a standard size 4 worsted weight. And what I made with this is a rectangle granny. And this one I really enjoyed too, because you can just kind of start going with it, and when you decide to finish, you decide to finish. And so the other thing with working in a continual round, a rectangle or a square, is that you have to flip your work and go the other direction, because it kind of starts to skew. When you go round and round and round, it wants to kind of just keep skewing. So I was just trying to let it go, let the color control out of my mind. Whatever colors were going to come out of the skein or the cake, that's what was going to happen. But when I had to flip it around to get the opposite, so that it wasn't going to skew, I would end up with some of these places where, like, the blue is super thick here and then it goes super thin here, and my OCD is a little bit tweaking out, but I'll get over it. So this is just beautiful, beautiful. Can kind of see me through I'm looking through the holes at you. Hi. But yeah, every time you go around, or every couple of times, you turn your work and go the other direction. So sometimes it looks like it's two different, I don't know. I enjoyed making it, and I enjoy putting I like to put a border on everything. This is just a single crochet in all the different colors that I used, but I think the border always looks good. So I had, I think, 8 skeins of this, and I went through only three cakes, so I still have, you know, quite a few of that left. We'll see what else if I make a bunch of smaller things or try to do another big blanket for it. But I really enjoyed this one. This one's a nice color, and I sat staring at that for a long time. So that was a, you know, one of those where you're waiting for the project to jump out at you, and then it did. So I thought that was a success. Okay, and then I had a lot of sweet rolls I was trying to work through. These were all like projects that I was working specifically to work on a specific yarn. Sometimes you just work whatever hits you. Sometimes you have a specific purpose. And so I wanted to get through a lot of the sweet rolls that I had. So this next one I made in the lavender swirl color, and I used 3 plus a little bit more. And this one's called the Super Easy Nap Time Blanket. Ooh, before I go back, this one is made by Hooked by Robin. I followed her pattern on this. Hooked by Robin is a really, really good tutorial presenter. So if you haven't found her yet, Hooked by Robin, I love her. Okay, so then this one was called the Super Easy Nap Time Blanket by Creative Grandma. I used a 6.5mm K hook and 4 skeins of that sweet roll in the lavender swirl. So this is really pretty. It's not, I don't want to say just, it's a simple V stitch and then a cluster. See a row of V's and then a row of clusters and then a row of V's and then a row of clusters. So this was really nice just to kind of, you tie on one, you know, you start with one skein and you just start going. And then you tie on the next skein and you just start going. There was absolutely no color control in this whatsoever. And you just let it go. And that's one of my faves. That's why I love skeins and variegated colors of cakes, and because you can just go and see what comes out of it. I added a little off-white or white. It's off-white, it's like a cream, to give that border some pop, but again, just gave it like a little single crochet border of the colors that I was using. And again, on a blanket like this, you know, with this one, I specifically pulled out at least, you know, I mean, enough of each of the border colors to do one solid round, one round in all pink, one round in all blue, one round in all purple. With a project like this, I'm just bordering it. Whatever, if the color changes throughout the border, I don't even care, because you're just going with it. In this case, I look like I'm going to be a liar because it looks like it's going to work out. But in any event, that's the feeling behind it, is that you just tie on skein to skein to skein and you just go. So like you can see in some cases the purple is thicker, the dark purple is thicker than in other places, or closer together, whatever. That's the beauty of a multicolored skein, right? These are awesome. Okay, and then I already showed you some of my baskets, or most of my baskets. I did the basket video. And so some of those were started in January, but I'm not going to go over those again. Okay, and then Pamela's Adoring Crochet is one that I like to watch. She's a real sweet Southern gal, and she makes some really cute stuff. So I was watching her, and she made this scarf, and she calls it the Crochet Flower Garden Scarf. You can use a base color of anything that you want. I used cream, and then I used reds and pinks to make the flowers. She says that you can use this background color, like brown, like to make the dirt that the flowers would go in, and you can make the flowers in any different color that you want. Sorry, my ends aren't tied in yet. But it's really a little cute. Like, I normally don't make things like this, and so I thought that was really fun to follow her pattern and do the same, you know, just about the same exact that she did. So that was really nice. And normally I tie in my ends as I go, but this one I was really trying to focus on making my flowers, so they didn't get done, and then it's in a box already in my tote of finished projects. So I thought that was nice. Okay, so then my final thing that I started in January is a project that's kind of close to my heart, and again, it was made with the Carnation Cakes, which I had so many of, and I'm trying to get rid of them all. this color here, if you can kind of see it, it is, it reminds me of a sock monkey. So I always call it my sock monkey color, but it is called Red Velvet. And so it's got these, whoops, that's called a yarn avalanche, like an avalanche of yarn avalanche. So the reds and a lighter like beige that the red bleeds into, and then this grayish color that's kind of brown, and then a dark red that's like a brick. So anyway, these are big. These are 7.1 again, 200 grams, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, standard size 4. You should be using a 5mm hook. So again, I had a bunch of these, wanted to use them up, and in January, the yarn community, the YouTube community, lost a very brilliant woman named Melanie Ham. She died of cancer at a very young age. I think she was 32 or 35 or something like that. Just a beautiful, beautiful soul, and she really contributed so much to the yarn community. She will be missed very much. And so years ago, when I started to get back into crochet initially, I went to her YouTube page and her channel to watch her videos and learn from her. And I haven't been back in a while because I kind of, you know, I know what I'm doing a little bit more. And but after I learned of her passing, I wanted to honor her and be in Melanie Ham land in my head. And so I went to her page and found a basic stitch that I could work up a blanket and just remember what she contributed to the community. So when I first started to work this pattern, I thought it was just too simple. I was not enjoying it. I almost ripped it out more than once, and I just continued to, you know, think I was being silly, continued to work on the blanket. It will be okay. Just persevere. So I did. And now I think it's one of my favorites. It's a very simple, it's called her beginner shell crochet blanket because it is that simple. You just do a, hello, upside down. You do a row of single crochets, and then a chain and some spaces on that initial row, and then you do a cluster, and then you anchor it with a single, and then do another cluster, and then when you come back around, you anchor it and do another chain, so you can do more clusters, and then anchor it and then chain. So it's very, very, very repetitive, very simple. You can do it in your sleep. And look at this gorgeous blanket. I cannot get over how pretty I think it is now after almost having ripped it out. But anyway, so this one I used, I didn't write down how many I used of it, but I still have more. So I got to a length I thought it was long enough and called it quits. So anyway, that is all of the things that I started in January. Again, I don't promise that they were all finished in January because, you know, you start on one project and then you go, ooh, what's that? Shiny. And you start on a new project. And personally, I have a finished basement in a 2-story house. So I have 3 different places that I might sit and do crochet. And so I allow myself to have a whip at each station so that I don't have to drag it with me where I'm, you know, if I'm going to change location, I've got something else to work on when I go to that new location. So, yeah, you know, having extra open whips or multiple things going on at one time, there's a whole lot of reasons for that. And some people feel like it's a, you know, oh, finish what you're working on before you start something else. It's not like that in the world of crochet or in the world of craft or whatnot, because you really can get an inspiration and want to try something new. You know, there might be that reason that you have different whips, or maybe you have one for the car, one for the bedroom, one for the office, you know, different areas that you work, one here in my little yarn area. So I allow myself to have multiple whips, and I think that for whatever reasons, so should you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no rule that says you have to finish one project before you start another. So that's all that I have for January makes. I appreciate it if you're still watching up to now. I enjoy working with the yarn, and I hope that you see something here that you thought maybe I want to make that too. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And I'm really enjoying going with this channel. So let me know if you haven't seen something that you would like to see, or if you do like what you've seen, please give me a thumbs up or a subscribe. I would appreciate it if you came back and checked me out once in a while. And with that subscribe, all my notification, or when I upload a new video, you'll receive that notification. So have a wonderfully blessed day, and I hope to see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.